Okay, how do we combine functions? So we're going to look at, in this video, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing two functions, f and g. And what this table says is basically, I think, just what you would think. If you're doing f plus g of x, you simply take the function f of x and add the function g of x. And that follows for every operation down to division. The only thing you'd want to make sure with division is whatever you're dividing by, that function cannot equal 0. So that's going to kind of mess with your domains there. You need to make sure that that bottom function isn't equal to 0. So we're going to do a couple different things here. First, we are going to take these two functions and then just find these functions, f plus g, f minus g, and so forth. So, f plus g. F plus g is going to be to take my function f and add my function g. And if you can't combine like terms, you're just going to leave it like that. I will go through and find their domains here in just a minute. So f minus g, that's going to be 1 over x minus 2 minus the square root of x. Again, I can't combine any like terms there. F times g. F times g, if I take 1 over x minus 2 and I multiply by the square root of x, I can think of this as the square root of x over 1. So that means the square root of x is going to go on top. So I'm going to have the square root of x over x minus 2. And then if we do f divided by g, that's going to be, think of it as, instead of multiplying by the square root of x, you're going to multiply by 1 over the square root of x, right? Dividing by the square root of x is like multiplying by 1 over that. So that's going to be 1 over the square root of x times x minus 2. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, then we'll go through and find the domains. Well, with the domains, you're going to be careful with a couple of things. One, you can't divide by 0. 2, you can't have negatives inside of your square roots. So because we have a square root part attached here, we have to make sure that x is greater than or equal to 0. But also, we can't have 0 on the bottom, so x minus 2 couldn't equal 0, so x couldn't equal 2. So as interval notation, that would be from 0 to 2, and then from 2 to infinity. The next one's going to be exactly the same as the first one, because I'm just subtracting. The only difference was I'm subtracting there instead of adding, so it's going to be the exact same as the first one. So 0 to 2, and then again from 2 to infinity. The third one, again, we've kind of got the same thing here because I can't take the square root of a negative, and I can't divide by 0. So again, we're going to have from 0 to 2, and from 2 to infinity. The division changes just a little bit here because the square root is now on the bottom. So we're still going to have that the bottom can't be 0, but that now means that I have to take away the or equal to here. So instead of using a bracket with my 0, it's going to be a parenthesis. I can no longer use 0 because I can't have the square root of 0 on the bottom. So we're going to go from 0 to 2, and then from 2 to infinity. One thing to keep in mind, a lot of times when we do these function compositions, you're going to use polynomials for f and g, and if that's the case, whenever your answer is a polynomial, whether you add, subtract, multiply, whatever you do, if your answer is a polynomial, your domain is going to be all real numbers there. Okay, so the next part is now take those functions and evaluate at different numbers. So f plus g of 4. Well, I have the function f plus g, but now it's telling me plug in 4. So I'm going to have 1 over 4 minus 2 plus the square root of 4. So that's going to be 1/2 plus 2, which would be 2.5 or 5/2. F minus g of 4 is going to be 1 over 4 minus 2 minus the square root of 4, which would be 1/2 minus 2, which is going to be negative 1.5 or negative 3/2. F times g of 4 So I've got f times g is the square root of x, so the square root of 4 over 4 minus 2, which is going to give me 2 over 2, which would be 1. And lastly, f divided by g of 4. So that would be the 1 over the square root of 4 times 4 minus 2. So that's going to be 1 over 2 times 2, which would be 1/4. So when evaluating a number, find the composition of function first, f plus g, or f minus g, whatever that function happens to be, which is what we did up here, and then just plug in whatever number it's telling you to plug in. Plug that into x and evaluate the function.